Hi, gorgeous lights. Welcome to the new day. The word for the day from the guides is release. And I'm asking them, what do we actually need to actually release? And they go negative thought patterns, limiting behaviours, the way you treat yourself, what you eat that you know that you shouldn't. And I'm like, oh my God, that's like a really big, long list. And they're like, well, you're not your wisest counsel and you're certainly not your best friend. So I got the giggles around that. So I just really had to share that with you as well, because I thought, oh my gosh, is this a celestial telling off that's coming? And then Elise was talking to me very kindly, and she said, you have to understand that a lot of the way that we actually behave towards ourselves, a lot of where we take on board other people's behaviours, patterns, habits, opinions, and everything like that, we hold on to all of that. And it's a little bit like we have this, mindset, she's saying, that we can end up adopting where, part of our brains are geared towards negativity because, we have this part of our brain here that is to do with survival and control and looking after ourselves and everything like that. But what we do is we do what Spirit calls compounding issues or reinforced behaviours in our own patterns and cycles, that we just end up playing out the same scenario in a different format or a different understanding in a different way, because we actually haven't released it and said, I've actually learned enough from this situation. So the universe goes, clearly you haven't, because you're still holding on to it because it's just energy, right? So I'll send it to you in a different format. And I said, well, is that why I always can end up with people saying to me, oh my gosh, this always happens to me? And they're like, yes, there's an expectation there because you haven't released the learning from it or taken on board the understanding from it or integrated it, that the universe will go, oh, okay, here, let me show it to you again in a different format. And I'm like, oh, because, even in myself or lots of people that will say, oh my God, that feels like a punishment. No, the universe is always working for you, which is one of the hardest things to comprehend, when it feels like it's working against you. But as Elise is just pointing out, the only thing that's working against you is actually you, by feeling a need to actually either hold on to hurt, hold on to disappointment, hold on to disillusionment, all of those sorts of things that we're very, very, very good at holding on to. And one thing that they... this morning I was making me laugh. I was thinking about something from the past and it was getting me down. And my grandfather's yelling, because all of you know that I've got a very, very naughty grandfather in spirit. And he's simply yelling at me, it's already happened. It's already happened. It's already happened. So the part of me, so I got really grumpy with him. I said to him, thanks very much. I know that it's already happened. My mind has just drifted back to how I felt. And he goes, yes, but that's the whole problem. As we drift back to how we felt at that period of time, what do? We bring it right forward into the now, because feelings don't actually have a timeline. We literally go back to how we actually felt at that period of time. So then it becomes a pattern. So we're literally not releasing the wisdom and understanding that we gain from it, but we're getting caught in what Elise has just called the emotional maelstrom of emotions, going round and round again and taking you right back to how you felt at that period of time. And then you're having to, because most of us don't know how to self-regulate, and if you're anxious and insecure, that's a really big, hard thing to actually do, to self-nurture. So then it's like we've spun the wheel again, Granddad said, and you're having to start to wait to see where it lands and then start to do things again. Now, when we actually release the understanding and the wisdom and we integrate it by going, yep, you know what? That series of events happened exactly the way that it happened. I grew from it. I learned from it. I forgive myself for knowing what I know now that I could have done differently, whatever. But I'm truly grateful for the experience because it's already happened. So this is a word where the word release comes in, which enables your brain, because brains like closure, to get a degree of closure. So if you work really kindly with your own self and in a really compassionate and understanding way and go, do you know what? I had amazing learning from that. I'm truly grateful. And package it in a way for your own self that there's no blame, there's no criticism, there's no judgment. Then you can actually say, I truthfully had that experience in the best possible way. I grew from it, I gained strength from it, I gained more understanding of myself around it, and I gratefully release it. So as soon as the brain is governed by the actions that we actually do, and it's always cataloguing things, and it's learning to nicely package things that, you know, life doesn't happen in a nice package sometimes, but we really actually have to go, right, okay, exactly. Elisa's just said you're not releasing it and going, I don't want to deal with it. You're releasing it for the wisdom that you gained out of it, not compartmentalizing it and shoving it over there for it to ooze back out at some point in time because you never really dealt with it properly. So it's about releasing it in the best possible way, is that I'm truly grateful for what I gained out of this, and not going into I gained hardship or I gained this or the negative aspects. But Elisa just said the wisdom that you've actually gained from it. And then, thank you, I agree. She's just said make sure that you release the attachment to the situation in a regard where you can go, so I'm just listening to what she's saying at the same time, and you can go, okay, I had that experience, it wasn't quite what I expected it to have, but I released the need to think that I had to reform it in any other different way than what it actually played out exactly the way that it played out. So I release the attachment to thinking it should have been any different. Thank you, that's a great way of explaining it. Because when we release it with wisdom and understanding, which is what, and compassion and empathy and all those things that she's talking about, you can actually do yourself a massive favour, because and then and surrendering to that, you can say, okay, I've got that out of my energy field. So I've got a hair that keeps tickling me. So if you think I'm scratching my nose all the time, it's because I've got this ear in here. It's totally distracted today. Anyway, very, very important, she's saying to you, to understand that in your way that you treat yourself, or the way that you identify with yourself around the experiences that you're having, bearing in mind that they're just experiences, and even this earth plane journey is just an experience, then you can actually surrender, she says, to the wonder of it and release the negativity of it. Because when you turn around and actually transmute it, she says, into going, that is wisdom that I gained, regardless, is wisdom that I gained from that, and have gratitude and forgiveness of self for the experience that you didn't quite realise was going to go that way. She said you remove yourself from a limitation of how you think it should be, and you release enough flexibility by going, okay, that happened exactly the way, what might not have been the way that I thought it was going to go, but you release attachment to holding on to the feelings that were caused by that period of time or that situation or relationship or person or whatever, and you can actually surrender to going, okay, it was just growth. And I said to Elise this morning, I said those sorts of things are like easier said than done, to be perfectly honest as well. And she said, yes, but this is part of the human experience, is to be fully present in a body that has an emotional response to an awful lot of things, and actually do those internal navigations, because this is part of mastery of self and an alchemy. And in that is being able to actually transmute and not be consumed by your emotions, but to rather bring in, I love what she just said then, a gentle acceptance that and your higher good or your higher experience, that the universe is still working for you to help you to grow into the best version of yourself, which is a lot of what we're actually down here to do. But we don't cut ourselves very much slack, and we certainly don't easily release the attachment to the feelings of what happened to us, because then we basically store it in a space that says we're fearful of ever having that experience again, and I didn't like that experience, and that experience made me suffer, and I don't like the feeling of suffering. But in reality, what she just said then is it took you really close to vulnerability that gave you the option to look at how you truthfully felt about something and decide for you whether it suited you. And it's not about another person's actions. She's being really, really clear about that. It is about the inner alchemy of how you deal with yourself, the slack that you cut yourself for realizing that you are, I love that, a child of the universe that's just actually in human form for a period of time, having some experiences that is going to help you learn. She said you fall down, you thank you scrape your knee, you go ow, and then you get up, let it heal, key word there, release it enough so that you can heal and understand that you have gained wisdom. And she said if you have the ability to step out that far and step back and see the merit and the experiences, the inner strength that you didn't know that you had, your ability to be resilient, your ability to rise. She said that they get very, very frustrated on the other side with our perception that life is a punishment for ourselves. And I'm like, oh God, been there. You're not getting punished, you are getting empowered. And so it's just a mindset change to see it in a different way. And some of us can and some of us can't. And I think probably at the end of the day, that's one thing I'm really starting to notice about the energy that's forming for this year, is that there will be a distinct divide between those people that say, I can't, I don't want to, and they just surrender and don't change what they're doing or their perception of understanding how powerful they are. And so they'll fit into the I can't category. And then there'll be a whole lot, and some of you, most of you that are watching this are in this category, the I can category. But you're having to get to the unity of how you deal with yourself in here to be able to actually say, I can unify in here and then I can unify without. So this is inner alchemy, so within, so without. The more that you release with wisdom and understanding and say that was just an experience and I learned and I changed and I kept my beautiful heart open, the better that you're actually going to navigate through this as well. Exactly. Forgiveness of yourself for the experiences that you didn't realize that you were going to have is absolutely crucial, and bringing it back in a loving way, she's just said, of embracing that was temporary, it's not permanent, and that you're having to give yourself permission to release all that and say that was then. I've learned and I've grown, because this is a change energy, guys. And it's really, really important that you give yourself permission to actually say, I'm not going to be so hard on myself. And they're very, very aware that human beings are incredibly hard on themselves, bringing so much judgment and criticism to themselves internally. No wonder we're seeing so much judgment and criticism on the outside of ourselves. So within, so without, right? So the change that the world is needing is starting with the way that you actually treat you. Release the attachment to judging yourself for everything that's happened up to this period of time. Forgive yourself, have gratitude for it, bring in compassion, but stop with the criticism and judgment. It's such a limiting belief to believe that what shaped and formed you to this period of time, just from those experiences, defines what's coming up for you, because there's more, and it's just the way that you actually look at it as well. So release is the word for the day. I hope you have a think about it. Take care of you.